just a reminder to keep your microphone, your video turned off. There is a chat. I can't see it right now, but I know that Whitney is monitoring it, and I will hopefully be able to check it periodically. But I'm super excited. I hope your other sessions have been going really well. I'm excited to share with you today about public libraries and where we are with AI at my library and what I kind of see the future of AI looking like. And my reminder, yes, I did start the recording. And then a quick thank you to partners and sponsors for making this a free event. I am here today because I want to challenge you to think about what the library of the future looks like. And I know we talk a lot about libraries of the future, but really think about what does that look like framed using AI, using innovation. How can our communities benefit from this? How can our libraries benefit from this? I'm really passionate about this topic. I think that there's been a lot of things that libraries have had to adapt to in the past, and this is just another example. So today I'm going to share presently what we're looking at, some examples from the past and how we've adapted, and then we can look into the future. And I'm going to share some ideas that I have about what it might look like. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't trust anybody who does say they have a crystal ball into the future of AI. But my name is Morgan Hanks. I'm the User Experience Manager at Kent District Library. We are a 20-branch system out here in West Michigan. If you haven't been to the Lake Shore before, I encourage you to head up to Grand Rapids, stay in the city, drive out to the Lake Shore. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spot. I want you to take a minute and really reflect on this. Is what role should libraries play in an AI shifting world? Do you think it's our place? Do you think we should stay completely out of it? I think that every opinion on the spectrum here is valid because in the grand scheme of things, we know so little about these models. We know so little about what AI can even do. Even the people who have built AI don't really know how it works, how the neural networks are actually programming themselves. So what do you think our role is in this AI shifting landscape? And I can tell you what my view, and of course this is my view and my view only, but I think first and foremost, we need to bridge the digital divide. And I think a lot of my colleagues would agree with me on this as well. We are doing this as we bridge it using for us, we're looking at our rural areas. How can we bring internet to those smaller communities? How can we show people how to use the tech skills they need to get a job in the modern day world, or even just to communicate with their friends and family? A lot of people come into the library to learn how to use Facebook so they can communicate with their grandkids. And I love being that space for people. How can we use AI to do the same thing? How can we be their guides to AI? And then collaboration and innovation. One of the things that I've seen pop up a lot in Grand Rapids, our area, are these AI incubators. So these are in our community college and also our local college, Grand Valley State University. And then I'm seeing some smaller startups using them as well. And instead of waiting and seeing what they did, I asked for an invitation to come get a tour of what are these AI incubators? Who are they for? How can we be a part of building this? How can we be a part of the narrative of AI and even the ethics conversations? I haven't seen a piece of technology under the ethical microscope like I've seen AI, and it makes me feel very hopeful. I really, really like the way that we're having these conversations around intellectual property, around the safe usage of these tools. I think that collaboration around them, getting involved with our local developers, can also spark a lot of innovation. We also have the opportunity to curate AI tools. So there are so many tools right now. If you subscribe to any newsletters, I'm guessing you're probably a little bit daunted by how many, I think they said there's hundreds, maybe even it's up to thousands of new tools being developed every day. And part of the reason is because these tools are really easy to create. If you wanted to make your own chatbot, you could log in to a website and do it today, free, no cost. I wouldn't quite suggest that because we actually tried it and there's some sticky bits. They haven't figured it all out, so I wouldn't put your policies and procedures in there. But for me, I've made my own kind of personal assistant chatbot where I've taught it kind of my expressions. I've fed it some of my old emails so it can help me with a lot of my busy work, if you will. It's important work, but it's a lot of work that consumes a lot of time that I could be spending doing other things that I find more valuable. We can also curate tools for our community. So imagine a bot that is on your website where somebody logs in and it knows what they like to read. It knows which programs they've been to, and it can pick those databases that maybe are not being utilized right now and hand select who they would be good for. I find one of the hardest parts when I'm pitching the library to somebody is that we have so much, I don't know where to start. So this could help us start somewhere. And then I think that if we join this conversation early and we insert ourselves often as public librarians, we can advocate for that human-centered AI. How can the human in the loop AI is what I keep hearing, and I really, really appreciate that conversation and even that visual. It's important for us to recognize what can humans do. The loneliness epidemic is on the rise. I predict that it's probably only going to be getting worse. And I know there are some companies trying to capitalize on that and making these robots that are going to solve loneliness. I don't necessarily think that that's the answer. I think that the computers can do the things that they are traditionally good at, freeing the people up to do the things that people are traditionally good at, like connecting. So that was kind of a present snapshot of what we're looking at in the AI landscape. Now I want us to think back to the past and how incredibly adaptable the library has been. eBooks, even to this day, we're still playing, our community base has a very, very healthy appetite for eBooks and e-audiobooks, and we're always balancing because we also have a lot of folks who are really, really print focused, and I get that. I think print books are wonderful, but how do we balance that? I don't think print books are going away, and I think that was kind of the fear when the ebook was released. I know people were afraid of typewriters when they came out, so it's just another example. The same can be said about a Google search. How do we use Google now compared to what were the fears in the past of Google? I think that this, if anything were to align with what happened in the library, I think ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, this is going to be the closest thing as the Google search. I know for me, a great example, if you've ever been onto the Reddit thread, Explain It Like I'm 5, it's amazing. If you haven't, I would check it out, just even for some laughs. But when I'm trying to understand a really, really complex topic like quantum computing, I will ask ChatGPT, explain quantum computing to me like I'm 5. Now explain it to me like I'm 10. And move up from there so that I have this foundation where I can actually go and search where I know things are really, really reputable, because I think, as most of us know, ChatGPT and all of them are still hallucinating. They can't cite their sources, they don't know how, but it can at least give you a base so that you can go out and even know what to search. Same thing from the past, thinking about COVID and doing online story time, online programming. It can work, but it is not nearly as engaging as in-person programming. But I think that AI has the capabilities to transform that. I think that it can make it a lot more engaging. I think that the way we even use TV may change in the future as we can interact with our computers in a more, or even our television sets in a more, how do I want to put this, organic way. And libraries have a very proven track record of resilience. Think about the card catalog, think about even, I think about when our library went from Dewey to BISAC. There's a lot of different ways that we've adapted to what our community has said that they needed, or the way that the world works. Sometimes we don't really have an option, but the fact that you're here and you're learning and you're engaging, you're already leaps and bounds ahead of some folks. I had this moment, I'd say in the last 6 months, where I kind of looked around and I'm thinking, well, who are the experts on this topic in libraries? Who is going to tell me what to do, how to implement this, how to make sure our community isn't afraid of these tools, they're ready to engage with them. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, I don't know that there are too many experts. I think that we might need to come and save ourselves. I think that there's a fear of not doing it perfectly. And so we don't need to wait for perfection. We can't let that stop us from experimenting with these tools, from getting people excited to use these tools. And there's something really valuable about inviting a patron into the conversation and not knowing all the answers, right? I don't know all of the information in the world, but I can absolutely help you find it. I don't know how to use every AI tool in the world, but I have a foundational understanding of how it works and what to trust it for and what to not. And I would love to sit side by side with somebody and work with them through how a chatbot can be used and how it can be fun even. I mean, I think we are really, really focused on results that we can forget that there's some time here to have fun with these tools and ask them. I've seen recently on TikTok, people write this long document of their dream life, and then they send it as a prompt into one of the AI systems, and it helps them visualize. It's like dream boarding with an AI. And I think that's a beautiful exercise. It's a great take on goal setting and visualizing and stepping into your future life in that. So that doesn't have to be all, how can this help further me in my career, or how can this be a tool? How can we use it for fun too? So here's the fun part, and this is the stuff that I like to think about. I like to stretch my mind and think about, what do I know about AI now, and what are some of the problems that I have in my library now, and how could I use it to fix it, or how could I see this being a tool that could be really exciting for patrons to use, or even for us to use as library staff. So I would love to see a personalized library assistant. I don't know if you know this, but Amazon actually predicts what you're going to buy before you buy it, and they send it to your nearest distribution center. They do that using the algorithm of what people like you in your profile typically buy. So they might know that you need blue ink pens before you do, but they're sitting there waiting in your nearest distribution center for you. And I think because we know how to program something like that, we could really use that for libraries. We could get people the things that they want, the programs they'd be excited about. The piece here that is a little bit of a rub for me is the privacy issue. We don't want to be taking people's data. That's a huge cornerstone of the work, is that their library accounts are private. But how can we get around that to still giving them a really personalized experience that I think people are going to come to expect of different kind of customer service type roles. Do I know how that's going to work? No, but I think it could be a really neat idea. Same with predictive collection development or predictive programming and outreach, seeing what people respond really well to, seeing what your local trends are. Having automated inventory management, so when your books are returned, can they go back onto shelving cards? Could you even take it a step further and have them shelved? I know that there's some fear too around these tools taking people's jobs, and I think that that's a very valid fear. But I also think back to the Richard Scarry books of what do people do all day, and a lot of those jobs, a lot of our jobs aren't even in that book. So I think that, as just like anything else, as one job might fade out, new jobs are going to fade in as well. And that's what makes me a little less scared about job replacement. And then programming that adapt to the needs of patrons in real time, I think especially in inclusive and accessibility means. And then VR and AR library spaces. So I've seen some cool meta malls. How cool would it be, even for somebody who has anxiety about going to a new space, to be able to visit your library virtually ahead of time so they can navigate it in a way that feels really safe to them, and then come in and actually see it in real time and be able to experience it without that deeper level of anxiety. So how about community? One thing that I am so excited about are the translation services that these have the opportunity to provide. Right now, they're not perfect, but I would say they're better than nothing. We've used them in a few of our libraries in different settings when we have a language barrier and we can't get an interpreter on site, or it's a printing thing and we just need really quickly to get the point across. They've worked really well, and I think they're just going to get better as they fine-tune themselves or they get fine-tuned by programmers. Even could be a really neat scenario where you can provide a program in whatever language someone wants to show up and have the program in. Impact measurement, I know a lot of boards like to see the impact, and that's really tough to measure. It's hard to drive your data down to tell a story. These tools are really good at helping with that as well. And then AI generated audio and visual aids. This is already happening. We actually have a accessibility inclusion specialist here who always laughs and says a lot of this AI stuff that people think they're discovering now, the disability community has been using for a long time. And it's good that it's becoming more mainstream because that way it's available to more folks. And then community hubs. I think a lot of libraries function like this already, having that real-time access to public transit updates, local government resources, community health information. And instead of having to go looking for it every time, what if you had a tool on demand that you could use that could help you with something like this, with anybody in crisis, or even just to give general information. And then even helping to identify local skill gaps and create programs around those. A lot of us have ideas. There's different data, different surveys, but survey data is always a little bit flawed. So how can we use this to really drill down what does our local community need, and how can we have programs that meet their needs at times when they can make it as well. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what the examples are that we're actually doing in real time here at Kent District Library. So the first thing we have is the AI in Business Summit, and that is actually taking place on Friday and Saturday this week. We have quite a few signups, and the original idea was it's part of a series where we give professional development to entrepreneurs or small businesses in the area. And AI is such a pressing topic, and people are asking, how do I use it to write a business plan? Is Copilot good? Should I use Gemini? Which one should I use? We thought we would just have a summit on it. And it turns out that not just business leaders are coming to it. We have people from all walks of life, which is going to be really exciting. We have a panel coming to talk. We have an attorney, a computer programmer, and somebody who works for a research and development AI firm in our area to do an ethics panel. They're all going to do different presentations, so it should be very engaging. We also have AI programming, and we're trying to avoid the AI 101 or the AI for beginners, because we want these to be exciting for people. We want them to come feeling like they can come wherever they are, but that they will learn no matter where they are in their AI journey. We don't want anyone to feel like it's too late, like they're being left behind. We're trying to be really intentional about our messaging around AI and our programs around AI. We have an internal AI advisory group, and that's a group of librarians who have an inherent interest in AI. They self-identified, and right now, one of the biggest tasks that we are working on is a kind of a rubric or a guideline for two things: for the tools that we are using, and for the how will we use it as a organization. But one thing we have been really clear with folks about is that we really want to encourage experimentation which means we might get it wrong, and we have to be okay with that. We cannot wait for perfection. We can encourage experimentation, and we can encourage it safely too. Bottom line, we do not put patron information into any kind of chatbot, period. That's not up for discussion. We don't really put any of our internal documents in there as well. We're pretty, I don't want to say selective, but we just want to make sure that we don't know exactly how they work. So we don't want to put anything out there that we might not want out in the big internet. So we have encouraged a lot of different uses. We have had some really funny flubs with note takers, with different kinds of like email usage. So encourage it, and then also really be okay with failure. Let people express what they failed with, because we are all learning right now at the same rate. And then lastly, one of our huge focuses, a strategic pillar for next year, is our one-on-one tech instruction. So we have previously in the past called this one-on-one tech tutoring. And again, like that AI programming, we really want to take that word tutor out, because the one-on-one tech tutoring got a reputation for being something that seniors could come to, which was wonderful. It was a wonderful tool for them. But we want everyone to feel like this is something that they could benefit from. We want them to bring a problem where our one-on-one tech librarian can help them solve it. They might have to solve it right there aside from them, but they can teach them how to think with the AI tools in mind, like what parts of your job are really mundane? What parts of Excel are really hard for you to use? How can you use ChatGPT to teach you how to put a formula in without having to watch 15, 20 minutes worth of YouTube videos? Those are just some examples. So I know how these conferences work. I know you're going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. I want to give you two minutes. Actually, I'm going to give you, I'll give you 2 minutes to just brain dump. What have you learned so far, not just in this session, but so far today? And what are some ideas you're going to take back to your library? Or some questions that you might have. Maybe you have more questions than answers right now, and that's fine too. All right, go ahead and finish your thought. That was a little less than 2 minutes, but I'm just keeping an eye on the time here. My biggest call to action for you is we work in a profession where we are not in competition with each other. So let's do this together. Let's create a community of practice where we find a good solution and we share it with each other. We find kind of a golden program and making sure that we can bring others in on how to, a more educated society is a better society for everybody. So that is my ask of you, is keep this conversation going. This is the very beginning. I think I actually really hope I can watch this presentation in 10 years and think how cute that you thought that's how this was going to play out. I think we have a lot of opportunity for growth here. And I also think there is some good, I've heard a lot of really good, healthy skepticism around the topic. And that surprisingly makes me hopeful too. I think it's good to look at these things under a microscope. So please stay in touch. This is my email. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to sit down and chat with you if you have some burning questions. I do not have all the answers, and I don't trust anybody who does say they have all the answers. But I do think that there's a lot of room for us to create a path together and learn from that internet era of what are some things that we did wrong and how can we do better in the future. So thank you so much for your time today. It is about 5 minutes until your next session, so I wanted to make sure you had time to jump on, take a bathroom break, whatever you need to do, but I appreciate you sitting down and letting me rapid fire all of these things. I cannot believe I got it into 25 minutes. I look forward to connecting with you, and thank you for your time.